He inherited a church that had begun changing course more than a decade earlier. The new directions were set by an extraordinary gathering known as Vatican II.
Vatican II was the most revolutionary thing that had happened to the church in the entire history of the church, and this was a Parliament of the World's Bishops that met, called together by John the 23rd in 1962, and for 4 years, some 2,200 bishops from around the world rewrote a charter for the church, trying to make it more a church of love and less a church of laws.
Among the most visible shifts brought by Vatican II, the world's more than 1 billion Catholics could celebrate Mass in their own languages rather than Latin. They could eat meat on Fridays. But for many, the loosening of old rules went too far.
According to some, the church was infected with too much freedom. And so here comes John Paul II, and he kind of agreed with these people that the church had gone a little too far, that there was just entirely too much freedom out there, and he tried to clamp down. So in that sense, he signified a turnabout, an about-face. Church was going one direction, here comes John Paul II taking it another direction.
The new pope supported Vatican II's call for ecumenism, harmony among Christian churches and between Christians and non-Christians. But while many expected there to be more flexibility in church doctrine, Pope John Paul offered none. At the cost of alienating some churchgoers, he took a hard line against what he called the culture of death, which encompassed artificial birth control, euthanasia, the death penalty, and especially abortion. On this score, he was especially critical of the United States. He took Americans to task in a football stadium mass in 1995.
Sadly, today a new class of people is being excluded. When the unborn child, the stranger in the womb, is declared to be beyond the protection of society, not only are America's deepest traditions radically undermined and endangered, but a moral blight is brought upon society. I am also thinking of threats to the elderly, the severely handicapped, and all those who do not seem to have any social usefulness. When innocent human beings are declared inconvenient or burdensome, and thus unworthy of legal and social protection, grievous damage is done to the moral foundations of the democratic society community. The right to life is the first of all rights. It is the foundation of democratic liberties and the keystone of the edifice of civil society. Both as Americans and as followers of Christ, American Catholics must be committed to the defense of life in all its stages and in every condition.
Unbowed by critics of the left and the right, he confounded those who tried to pigeonhole him as conservative or liberal.
He is a man who defies those categories because he can only be understood, first and foremost, as a Christian disciple. And that discipleship, that seeing everything through a theological lens, if you will, simply does not lend itself to this conventional left-right categorization.
He urged that his clergymen also see things through a theological lens rather than a political one.
I think he would see a dividing line between religion and partisan politics. Religion, morality, ethics have a tremendous place to play in politics, and he wasn't about to deny that. Where he'd draw the line is in partisan politics.
Viewing legislative work as too divisive, the Pope ordered priests out of government. For Father Robert Drinan of Massachusetts, it meant leaving his seat in the U.S. House of Representatives.
As a person of faith, I must believe that there is work for me to do which somehow will be more important than the work which I am required to leave. I undertake this new pilgrimage with pain and with prayers.
The Pope pursued his own brand of politics. It was potent, and it shattered the very foundations of world power.